welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be here.
So today we're tackling a pretty significant piece of tech, the Adobe Experience Platform. We're working off that student workbook you shared.
Right. It's quite detailed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So our goal here is to kind of cut through all that, get to the core ideas, find those aha moments, give everyone a clear picture without just drowning them in information.
Makes sense. Like getting the essential blueprint.
Exactly. The blueprint, what it is, how it handles data, some of the key things it can actually do.
Absolutely. And that workbook, well, it covers a lot, from just finding your way around the UI right up to data science stuff.
Wow.
So yeah, our mission is to distill that down, focus on what the Experience Platform fundamentally is, its architecture, how it manages data, and highlight some of those standout features.
Do people walk away feeling like, okay, I get what this thing is actually for?
That's the plan, a solid grasp.
Okay, so let's kick things off then. At its heart, what is the Adobe Experience Platform? It feels like it's aimed at solving a really common problem these days, right?
You've pretty much hit the nail on the head there. The core idea is tackling that huge challenge of customer data being all over the place.
Yeah, fragmented.
Fragmented, exactly. Your phone, your tablet, laptop, smart TV. Customers interact everywhere, not just one place.
So this is about pulling all those pieces together, creating one single view of someone's journey with a company.
Precisely. And the platform itself is designed to be open, intelligent, and this is crucial, real-time. It's built to speed up what they call time to value.
TTV.
Right.
Getting results faster.
Getting meaningful insights, tangible business results much quicker than, older methods might allow.
Okay, so how does it achieve that speed? What are the sort of fundamental things it does?
Well, a really key capability is centralizing and standardizing data, all different types.
From anywhere.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Imagine pulling all your customer data into one place, one format, regardless of where it started.
Okay.
And from that unified base, it then builds dynamic, real-time customer profiles.
The dynamic meaning? They change.
Constantly. They're not static snapshots. They update with the very latest interactions, the newest information.
That sounds incredibly powerful. So you've got this standardized data core building these living profiles. What's the next step?
So this is where it gets really interesting. The platform layers on AI and machine learning to enrich those profiles.
AEPs.
Yeah. Predicting behavior, spotting trends, maybe even understanding sentiment. And importantly, this all happens within a framework that keeps an eye on data governance.
Data governance.
Yeah.
That's huge now. So it's not just grab all the data, it's do it responsibly.
Exactly. It has features built in to help manage how data is used, comply with regulations. Beyond that, the key features really span the whole life cycle. Data ingestion, getting data in, powerful analysis tools, building predictive models, and delivering what they call next best actions.
Next best action. Sounds like giving marketers the smarts to engage better.
Right. Precisely. With that deep profile understanding, boosted by AI, marketers can drive interactions that are actually relevant, meaningful, which hopefully leads to better business outcomes.
Right.
The workbook specifically calls out things like the query service, that's for SQL access to the data,
Right.
data science workspace for ML models, both pre-built and custom, the AML engine, which is Adobe Sensei, and that real-time customer profile itself, which is key for identity and segmentation.
Wow. Okay, so it's a really comprehensive toolkit. It sounds like it enables actual personalization, not just pretending. Plus, the governance, deeper behavioral insights, creating audience segments on the fly.
Exactly. Moving past one-size-fits-all to experiences tailored to the individual, all while keeping data secure and managed properly.
Okay, that gives us a really good sense of what it's designed for.
Yeah.
Now, let's dig into the how, the architecture as it's structured.
Right. The architecture is built on open APIs. That's a really important point.
Why open APIs?
Because it means it can integrate smoothly with lots of other enterprise tools. It's not meant to be this isolated black box. It plays well with others.
So it connects into the systems companies already have.
Exactly. And it even allows partners to build their own products and integrations on top of it. So it's extensible.
Creates an ecosystem almost.
Kind of, yeah. The workbook lays out some core workflows that show how it all fits together.
Okay, let's walk through those. How does data actually move through this thing?
So the first key workflow is getting that data centralized and standardized. It comes in mainly two ways.
Okay.
Either from other Adobe Experience Cloud products, those connections are pretty seamless, or using API connectors to pull data from almost any other system.
And that can be streaming or batches.
Yep, streaming for real-time stuff, batch for larger loads, or periodic updates.
Got it. So data pipelines feeding in from all over. What happens next inside the platform?
The next big step is creating those real-time customer profiles we talked about. It stitches together all the different data types.
Like CRM data.
Yeah, CRM data, website behavior, app usage, purchase history, maybe demographics, all stitched together into that single view of the person.
Identity resolution must be massive here, connecting all those different signals to one individual.
Absolutely critical. And once you have those unified profiles, you can start digging deeper. You can use standard SQL queries to explore patterns.
Through the query service.
Right. Or you can apply those AI and ML capabilities for more advanced insights. And again, always with data governance controls in place.
So you're not just collecting data, you're layering intelligence onto those profiles.
Exactly. And the final piece of the puzzle, the last core workflow, is acting on it. Applying decisioning, orchestration logic, meaning using those rich real-time profiles to trigger actions across different channels, sending an email, showing a specific web offer, coordinating a whole multi-channel journey.
Okay, so it's a full loop.
Mm-hmm.
Data in, understand the customer, deliver personalized experiences.
That sums it up perfectly.
Now, the workbook also points out some key use cases, practical applications. What are the main ways businesses are actually using this?
Well, a big one is as a real-time customer data platform, a CDP.
CDP, yeah. Hearing that term a lot.
Right. So as we said, companies struggle with fragmented data, inconsistent experiences, messy governance. A real-time CDP, built on Experience Platform, aims to fix that. It gives marketers one place to manage all profile data, known and unknown.
So marketing gets a much clearer, unified view of their audience. What does that let them do?
It lets them really understand who their valuable customers are and connect with them better, more personally. And the workbook notes that this CDP capability relies heavily on those core components. Identity service for the stitching, query service for insights, data science workspace for the predictive models, and the real-time customer profile as the foundation.
Makes sense. All those pieces working together for that specific outcome. What's another major use case?
Another big one is around delivering consistent cross-channel experiences.
Right, hitting them with the same message everywhere.
Or maybe a consistent message adapted for the channel. The idea is that Experience Cloud products integrate tightly with the platform. They consume those real-time profiles to drive more relevant interactions.
Can you give an example? Like, how would that actually play out?
Sure. Think about setting up triggered journeys in Adobe Campaign. You could have a trigger based on a profile change in the platform.
Like what?
Like, say a customer suddenly starts browsing a specific product category a lot on the website. That profile update could automatically trigger a personalized email campaign featuring related products.
Right.
Or you could use decisioning services to decide which offer to show someone on the website right now based on their latest activity. Or even not show an offer if their profile indicates they wouldn't be interested.
That's a really clear example of real-time insights driving action. What's the third use case mentioned?
The third one is focused on customer experience application development.
Building new apps.
Essentially, yes. The platform is open and extensible, offering fast access to profiles, decisions, insights via APIs, so businesses can build their own custom applications on top of it.
Tailored to their specific needs.
Exactly. Leveraging the platform's APIs and data science tools to create something new, maybe something very niche for their industry.
So it's not just using Adobe's tools, but also a foundation for innovation.
That's a good way to put it. The openness is a real strength there.
Okay, shifting gears slightly. The workbook spends time on the user interface. Navigating it. Can you give us a quick tour, the main workspaces?
Sure. Getting comfortable with the UI is obviously key. The workbook highlights several main areas. First, there's workflows.
Okay.
That's where you manage data ingestion, getting data in, and also where you handle your machine learning models, building, deploying them.
Got it. Ingestion and models.
Then you have connections. This splits into sources, that's your connectors, for bringing data from places like Adobe apps, cloud storage, CRMs, ad platforms, and destinations where you send activated data to, like advertising tools or email marketing platforms.
So workflows orchestrates, connections, hooks things up. What's next?
Next is the customer workspace. This is really central. It's all about profiles.
Browsing them.
Browsing profiles, yes.
Uh-huh.
Defining merge policies, the rules for combining data into one profile. Viewing union schemas, which is the structure of that combined profile. Managing segments, creating, analyzing your audiences. And identities, managing those namespaces like email or device ID.
That sounds like the heart of understanding your audience.
Mhm.
What else is key in the UI?
Then there's privacy, super important for governance. You define data usage policies here and handle requests like data access or deletion requests under GDPR, CCPA, or Thailand's PDPA.
Right, handling those compliance tasks.
Exactly. Then data science. This is the ML hub. You've got notebooks, that's the Jupyter Lab environment. You manage models and recipes, the packaged ML logic, and services like Adobe's intelligence services or tools for propensity models.
A dedicated space for all the AI and ML work.
hmm After that, data management. This is more granular data control. Managing schemas, defining your data structures, handling data sets, browsing the data you've ingested, running queries with SQL, and monitoring your data ingestion jobs, batch, and streaming.
Okay, organizing and keeping tabs on the actual data assets. And the last one.
Lastly, there's administration. Right now, the main thing there is sandboxes.
Sandboxes.
Yeah, they're like isolated virtual environments. Different teams can use them to develop and test things without messing up the main production instance or each other's work.
Ah, that makes sense for larger organizations.
Yeah.
So it seems like the UI is pretty logically laid out, grouping related tasks together.
Yeah, it aims to be. And the workbook gives little examples like creating a data set from a schema or looking up a profile just to give you a feel for moving around.
Okay, great. Now let's dive into managing the data itself, the ingestion pipeline. The workbook details this quite a bit. Can you break down how data actually gets into the platform?
Sure. The pipeline's designed to be flexible. The workbook covers a few key ways. First, batch ingestion.
For big loads?
Yeah, large volumes, initial data dumps, periodic updates. You can use APIs, SDKs, connectors to other apps, or integrations with ETL tools like Informatica or SnapLogic.
Okay, so that covers the big scheduled stuff. What about real-time data?
For that, you've got streaming ingestion. It's built for very low latency, capturing events right as they happen, website clicks, app interactions, and getting them into the platform almost instantly.
So it can power immediate actions.
Exactly. It also ties into Adobe I/O events, pushing data out to other systems too.
Got it. And what about pulling data from other Adobe tools?
That's where the Adobe solution connectors come in. Pre-built connections for bringing data from Campaign, Target, Analytics, Audience Manager, Ad Cloud, etc. smoothly into the platform, both batch and streaming.
Streamlines things if you're already in the Adobe ecosystem.
Definitely. And then for capturing data directly from websites and apps, there's Adobe Launch.
The tag manager.
Right. It's client-side, captures user behavior, and fires those events straight into the platform, usually in real time. It's like the central nervous system for data collection on your digital properties.
Okay, so launch is key for that real-time behavioral data. Now, the workbook talks a lot about XDM, the Adobe Experience Data Model. Why is that so important?
XDM is absolutely fundamental. It's the common language. It provides standardized, open schemas for all customer data.
Standardized meaning?
Meaning everyone agrees on what email address or product purchase looks like structurally. So when data lands in the platform, it's instantly understood, semantically meaningful, and ready to be acted upon. All data gets mapped to XDM schemas.
So XDM ensures consistency, lets different parts of the platform talk to each other.
Precisely. It's the backbone for those real-time profiles. For machine learning, for analytics, it makes everything else work together.
The workbook mentions two main types of XDM schemas, record and time series. What's the difference?
Good question. Record data is about the attributes of a subject, usually a person. Think name, city, loyalty status, things that describe who they are at a point in time.
A snapshot.
Exactly. Time series data captures events over time, website clicks, purchases, app opens, email opens, things that happen when.
So record is who, time series is what and when. How do they connect?
Crucially, both schema types include an identity field linked to the subject. That's how the platform connects the who from record data with the what and when from time series, giving you that complete picture.
And how are these schemas actually built? What are the pieces?
It starts with assigning a class. That defines the basic type record or time series and the core behaviors or attributes it holds. The class also dictates which mixins you can use.
Mixins.
Mixins are like reusable building blocks. They define sets of fields for specific purposes like contact info or product preferences. You combine a class with one or more mixins to create your final schema.
So it's modular, reusable, you build the structure you need.
Exactly. Flexible and adaptable.
The workbook gets into specifics on ingestion, like using Parquet or JSON for batch. Sounds like there are prerequisites.
Yeah, for batch with files like Parquet or JSON, you need a corresponding dataset set up in the platform's catalog first. And the file structure has to match the dataset schema exactly, plus authentication, usually a bearer token.
And CSV files.
CSV is a bit trickier. Usually needs a specific class and schema designed just for CSV. Then you create the dataset from that.
Right, and the data connectors make things easier for common sources.
They do. They offer pre-built ways, often with wizards in the UI, to connect to cloud storage, third-party software, CRMs via APIs, plus those specific solution connectors for other Adobe tools we mentioned.
Okay, we've touched on streaming already. Now, governance. Super critical. How does the platform handle data governance?
Governance is built in. It's about managing data responsibly, ensuring compliance with rules like GDPR, CTPA, internal policies. XDM standardization helps a lot here because everyone's using the same data definitions.
It's easier to apply rules consistently.
Right. The workbook mentions key roles involved too. Like the data steward responsible for data quality and integrity, the data scientist using data for insights and models, the data engineer building the pipelines, and the data marketer using the insights for campaigns. It's a team effort.
Makes sense. It also introduces DOLE, data usage labeling and enforcement. What's that?
DOLE is a framework to simplify managing data usage. You categorize data using labels like contractual, identity, sensitive, and then create policies based on those labels to control how that data can or can't be used.
So you label the data, then enforce rules based on the label.
Exactly. Helps automate and streamline compliance.
The workbook has some great practical exercises here, like verifying website data ingestion, loading CSV loyalty data, applying DLE labels. Those must really help solidify things.
Absolutely. Seeing it in action, inspecting the network calls, using the UI to map CSV fields to a schema, clicking to apply governance labels makes it much more tangible than just reading about concepts.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay, let's pivot to identity service, unified profiles, and segmentation. These feel like the absolute core of getting that single customer view.
They really are foundational. The identity service is the engine that stitches together different identifiers for the same person across devices and systems.
So, connecting my laptop browsing to my mobile app purchase.
Exactly. It bridges those gaps to give you a more complete picture.
Yeah.
And that unified identity feeds directly into the real-time customer profile. This profile combines all that stitched data, online, offline, CRM behavior into that single unified view of the customer. It's the result of ingestion, XDM standardization, and that identity stitching.
Got it. The ultimate goal. And once you have these rich profiles, what do you do with them? That's where segmentation comes in.
Precisely. Segmentation lets you group customers based on all that profile data. You create segment definitions, basically, rules describing the audience you want.
Like people who viewed product X but didn't buy.
Exactly like that. You apply those rules to your profiles, and the result is an audience, the set of profiles matching your criteria, ready for targeting.
Perfect. And the workbook has exercises showing this, like an anonymous visit becoming a known profile after registration.
Yeah, it walks through that. Seeing an anonymous ID get linked to an email after sign-up, and then seeing mobile activity merge when they log in on their phone, it really clarifies how profile unification works.
That sounds super helpful visually. And it covers creating segments in the UI too.
Yes, it gives a high-level overview of defining the rules and building segments using all the attributes and behaviors available in those unified profiles.
Great. Now let's talk querying. The query service seems vital for actually getting insights out of all this data.
It's absolutely essential. Query service lets you use standard SQL, which many analysts already know, to query across all your data sets in the platform.
All of them joined together.
Yeah, you can join data from different sources. It's serverless, so no infrastructure to manage. And you can even save query results as new data sets.
Oh, interesting. So you can shape the data for other uses. Does it connect to external tools?
It does. You can connect to external SQL clients if you prefer working in a different environment. There's also an HTTP API for running queries programmatically.
Automation possibilities, okay. And the UI for query service.
It has a query list showing past queries and the query editor itself where you write and run your SQL. It shows results, console logs, the usual stuff.
The workbook has examples, like basic SQL commands.
Yep, simple things like show tables just to get you started. It also mentions, optionally, connecting a pSQL client, the PostgreSQL command line tool.
For command line fans.
Exactly. It shows how to get the credentials from the platform UI to connect securely.
What about querying data inside those nested XDM schemas? It mentions dot notation.
Right. Because everything uses XDM, you can use standard SQL dot notation to drill down. If you want the city, which is in a geo object inside place context, you'd write placecontext.geo.city.
Oh.
And the workbook points out you can find these paths easily in the UI, which is super helpful when you're writing queries.
Makes accessing nested data way easier. The workbook also has query examples for analysis, top products, things like that.
Yeah, basic analytical queries, fetching timestamps, finding top viewed products, even more advanced stuff like looking at product funnels or trying to identify potential churners based on website activity.
Now, these Adobe-defined functions, ADFs, extensions to SQL, what do they do?
ADFs are really neat. They add specialized functions to SQL specifically for customer experience data, like SesStite-out, to define sessions like web analytics tools do,
Okay.
or NextT and Previous
Yeah.
to analyze sequences of events in a journey. Time between next match calculates time gaps between specific actions.
Those sound incredibly useful for journey analysis. The workbook has examples.
Yeah, concrete examples, using ADFs to see what led up to a cancel service page view or the time between a website visit and a call center interaction. They unlock richer insights. The examples cover things like linking call center outcomes to online behavior, analyzing loyalty profiles, looking at geolocation patterns. There's even a complex query joining online, call center, and loyalty data.
Shows the power of joining diverse datasets. And finally, it mentions creating datasets from queries, CTSS, and connecting to tools like Power BI.
Yep, CTES create table as select lets you save query results as a new dataset right in the platform. Very handy. And the optional Power BI section shows how to connect external BI tools using the PostgreSQL connector to visualize the data you've queried and prepared.
So you can build dashboards from platform data.
Exactly. Take those insights and share them broadly. Query Service is really the hub for exploring, analyzing, and shaping data for all sorts of downstream uses.
It really ties a lot together. Okay, last major section, the data science workspace. This sounds like where the real predictive magic happens.
That's a good way to put it. The data science workspace is where data scientists can build, train, and deploy machine learning models. Think personalized recommendations, churn prediction, that sort of thing, leveraging all that customer activity data.
The workbook example focuses on product recommendations. What data does that use?
It uses website clickstream data, what users looked at, what they bought. It leverages specific schemas like recommendations input schema with fields like userid, timestamp, interaction type, view, purchase, and itemid, the product. It mentions data sets like website interactions and recommendations input-output.
So taking raw clicks and purchases and structuring it for ML, it talks about using Jupyter notebooks for this.
Yes, though Workspace integrates Jupyter notebooks. Data scientists can use them to load the raw data, clean it up like filtering empty values, transform it, maybe split interactions into separate records, add necessary columns, and then write that prepared data back to a platform data set like recommendations input.
A pretty standard data prep workflow then. What happens after the data is ready?
Then you typically analyze the prepared training data, again, often in a notebook, load it, get summary stats, peek at the data, check for issues, maybe group items to see product popularity, basic exploration before training.
Got it. Then building the model, it mentions a recipe builder notebook.
Right. The Recipe Builder is a template notebook. It streamlines packaging your model code, configurations, data loading logic into a reusable recipe. Makes it easier to operationalize the model.
And the workbook example builds a popularity-based recommendation recipe.
Yeah, it walks through training a simple popularity model in the notebook, recommending what's most frequently bought or viewed overall. Then it scores the model, generates recommendations, and saves them to the recommendations output dataset. Finally, it packages all that logic into the recipe.
Okay, so you create the recipe in the notebook. How do you actually use it in the platform?
Good question. You then go to the platform UI to create a deployable model from that recipe. You select your input dataset, recommendations input, name the model, maybe tweak hyperparameters like the number of recommendations per user. Then you kick off the training run in the UI.
And you watch it train.
Yeah, you monitor the status, pending, running, complete. Afterwards, it shows evaluation metrics like recall and precision to gauge performance.
Okay, trained and evaluated in the platform. How do you get the recommendations out?
That's the scoring step. You initiate a scoring run for the trained model, again in the UI. You tell it to write the results to the recommendations output dataset.
Right.
Once the scoring run finishes, that dataset is populated with the recommendations for each user. And that dataset can then be used by other parts of the platform, like personalization tools on the website or email campaigns.
It's a full cycle. Raw data, prep, build, train, evaluate, score, and then use the output for personalization.
Exactly. Data Science Workspace provides that end-to-end environment to bring ML power directly into the platform for smarter customer experiences.
Wow. This has been incredibly thorough, a real deep dive into Adobe Experience Platform, all thanks to that workbook. We've covered so much ground: the basic why, the data centralization, unified profiles, managing data, identity, segmentation, querying, and now even machine learning.
Yeah, hopefully it gives a much clearer picture of how it all fits together, how it aims for that holistic customer view and enables personalization at scale. The real-time aspect, the open architecture, the built-in data science. Those are pretty compelling features.
Definitely. That ability to connect data that's usually stuck in silos and then act on the unified view almost instantly, that
Wow.
seems like a huge advantage.
It really is, especially for businesses trying to build stronger customer relationships.
Now, this deep dive gives a solid foundation for sure, but like that workbook shows, there's always more, isn't there? Deeper dives into specific connectors, advanced SQL functions, the real nitty-gritty of building complex ML models.
Oh, absolutely. It's a continuous learning process. But those tutorials and documentation links in the workbook are great starting points for anyone wanting to go further.
Yeah, good resources to have.
Definitely. And as businesses focus more and more on really understanding customers and delivering relevant experiences, platforms like this become pretty essential, don't they?
Seems that way.
The power to connect data, get insights, and act in real time, it's a powerful vision for customer engagement. So maybe the final thought for listeners is, what specific challenge, what pain point in your own world could a platform like this potentially help solve?
Good question to ponder, something to think about.